Board of Directors, William Donahue, Chairman. Welcome to the dedication of the Thomas A. Cheeseman Maintenance and Storage Facility. Back in the mid-90s, Tom and I attended the grand opening of the Milford Transit District's new transportation facility. It was a beautiful building. It had all the bells and whistles. He guaranteed me that someday we will have our first ever facility that we can be proud of. Although we didn't expect it to take nearly 20 years, I think we can say that the wait was worth it. What you see here today is a culmination of a lot of hours, days, years in searching and planning. Matt started transit service in the early 1980s. The terminal was built downtown and maintenance was performed in various rental properties until a suitable location could be found. Not to mention obtaining the necessary funding. Tom didn't sit idly by, as I remember the many visits to potential vacant buildings, empty lots, trying to find the right place. To be honest, when Tom showed me this property, I didn't see the same vision he had. This was a vacant lot, which we later learned was a coal and ash dump and is located in a flood zone. It had a small warehouse that had to be modified to suit our purpose until the final facility was built. I thought it would take forever. All in all, it took 4 years to complete the project you now see before you. This project completes the final step in the development of Middletown Area Transit. I'd like to recognize some of our guests today. And please, if I miss you, don't throw stones at me, but I think I got everybody here. But first of all, I would like to introduce the Middletown Area Transit Board of Directors. If you could please rise. William Donahue, Chairman. Stephen Shapiro, Secretary Treasurer. Bob Gatehouse, Brian Dudek, Stuart Christensen, and Dr. Darrell Bullock. Also, I'd like to recognize Mr. Ken Bondurant. Where are you? There he's way in the back. Very important, Ken was the first chairman of the MAT Board of Directors, and he was one of the originators of MAT, the creator, we call him. You know, I get a chance to meet him on occasion, but he started all this back in the late 70s, whatever it was, and the story is he was sitting down at a kitchen table and said, hey, we need some transportation, and designed the routes. Ironically, the routes that they designed basically are the same routes we use today, so nice job. Also like to recognize Paul Doyle, State Representative. I believe he's with us today. There he is. Yep. Former state senator, served on the Transportation Committee, longtime friend of Matt, Billy Scioto. I'm not sure, Laura Francis, did you make it into? I guess not, but we do have a First Select Woman, Susan Bransfield, from the town of Portland. Robert Cronenberger, Chief of the Middletown Fire Department, very important friend of ours. Mr. Joe Serra, State Representative, serving the 33rd District, recently re-elected. Congratulations. We also have with us a former mayor and member of the Common Council, Sebastian Giuliano. Right? And I believe former Mayor Maria Holzberg. Is she with us here? Nope. We also have, and this is pretty impressive, Tom's family, the Cheeseman contingent. I believe last count was 28, and we all here, 28 people from Tom Cheeseman's family. Fantastic. A special tribute, I think, to Tom. Today we also have a few guest speakers, the first of which I would like to introduce Mr. William Donahue, the Chairman of the Board of Directors of Middletown Transit District. Mr. Donahue is also one of the creators of MAT and an original board member.
I'm having some trouble with my throat, so please be patient. You know, I was talking to Ken and realized that it was about 39 years ago that we started thinking about all this, and I won't go through the whole evolutionary process, but it took a long time, as Andy said. And through the years, I think we've evolved into something that's pretty hard to duplicate. And I think we have, in fact, the best transit operation in the state. Now, I hope I didn't offend anyone else by saying that. To take off a little bit on Tom, I've known Tom for a long time. And we went on a couple of different trips together for some of the conferences over the years. And as Tom got a little bit sick, we kind of got a little bit worried about him. In fact, we got a lot worried about him. So we decided that this facility, when it opened, would be named in his honor. And the consensus of the board at the time was, let's not tell him, let's make it a surprise. So something clicked and I said, no, I better tell him. I did. I sat down with him one day and said, Tom, this is going to be your building. And he had tears in his eyes and he was extremely happy. So I'm very, very glad that we did that. And I would always think of Tom as being the guy, if there is such a thing as sainthood, he's the one. So good for Tom. That's it.
Mayor Robert Santangelo.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bob Santangelo, the Deputy Mayor, and on behalf of Mayor Dan Drew, I bring the greetings of the City of Middletown. Welcoming everybody who's here today. It's always good to see Senator Doyle, Senator Ciano, Joe. Larry McHugh is here also from Chamber of Commerce, and of course, lots of people are here. What I'm going to say is interesting, but I came down here when I saw this building, the only thing I could say was, wow. We're in a garage right now. That's how most of us think about it. So most of us think for a moment and look around. This is unbelievable. This is a fantastic thing. But this is Tom Cheeseman's legacy. This is exactly what we would expect from Tom Cheeseman, what we'd expect to see. I knew Tom very well, and I'm going to take some time. And actually, I'm going to ask Mrs. Cheeseman to come and join me. She consented earlier, so I'm going to ask her. You know that they say behind every great man there's a great woman? Well, I've never met Mrs. Cheeseman. We only met once before at the council chamber when I read a proclamation for Tom. And so I just assumed she's got to be a great woman. Okay, so I want to stand next to a great woman, so here she is. Also, I met today Tom's older brother and his sisters. Now, I asked them, I said, I don't have to tell you what a great guy he was. The brothers and sisters would know that. And they know. And the Cheeseman family is here, and thank you for being here. Appreciate all of you being here. My relationship with Tom was interesting. When he first came to work in Middletown, one of my interests, which most people don't know, is my undergraduate minor and my master's degree are in traffic safety. So Tom and I would meet every morning for breakfast. I'd go in there and guess what we talked about? Traffic safety. And he and I would exchange ideas. And we'd exchange ideas around, and he would always tell me, like when I put the bicycle carriers on the buses, he let me know that was going to happen. But also you heard today that he was a visionary. He truly was, and he saw things that other people didn't see. He did things like, there's 2 malls down in Westbrook and Clinton, and the seasonal work is coming up soon. And he said, if the people in Middletown are going to have the opportunity to work there, do seasonal work, I better run a bus down there. And he did. As long as he had 10 people or more working there, the bus went down, brought them to work in the morning and picked them up in the evening. All of you know that in Middletown, as you heard it, we do have the greatest transit district. Thank you for that. I appreciate that information. We also know this, that he did things like run buses at night, not only for people to go home from work, but what he said to me is, the kids study at the library. need a ride home in the evening. Okay, that's the kind of man he was. He fought like that. Not too many of us pay attention to children. Not too many of us pay attention to people who get seasonal work. Not too many people pay attention to the fact that people need buses, they need rides. That's what made it successful. He had more than a vision. He had a lot of knowledge. He was a guy who thought about everybody else. He thought about all of us. And that's why we do have the greatest transit system in Connecticut. Tom was also just a nice man. One word describes Tom: gentleman. That's the only way you can describe him. Anytime you met him, it was always a smile, always a warm hello, and for he and I, a lot of exchange of information regarding traffic safety, which a lot of you are not interested in. But anyway, it's what we did, and this is who he was. He was a man who always had a smile on his face, and he was a gentleman. And I'm looking around the room, and I see a lot of smiles, because a lot of you knew could agree with me. This is what we had. And he brought to us the wow, this wonderful legacy of this garage, the wonderful legacy of having the ability to look and say, what are your needs? What do people need? That's not too many chances people think that way. They say, we're going to run the bus line, and you've got to go find it. Okay? I talk to a lot of friends. I work with people from all over the state of Connecticut, and that's what they say. Oh, bus ride? Yeah, it's about 2 or 3 blocks from where I am. I have to go find it. In Middletown, you don't have to find it. The bus is going to find you. It's going to run by your house. It's going to run by where you work. It's going to run by the places you need to go to. Well thought out. And the people who thought out the routes, they were thinking well too. We'll give them credit. But one thing we have to say is that we're all sitting here today honoring a man who gave a lot. He gave us all of this. He gave us something that not too many people can leave. He left us with a great legacy. And I think it's just the least we could do. And whoever thought of putting his name out on the building, wonderful. Thank you. He deserved it. And Mrs. Cheeseman deserves to hear all the kind things about her husband. One of my favorite things for everybody, if you knew Tom, come to Mrs. Cheeseman and tell the story. She'd love to hear it. Okay. Thank you very much.
Joe, Sarah?
Good afternoon. I was fortunate to have might call a ringside seat as this whole area transit district was formed. I go way back. They told me Ken was here. You know, I was in public works, so they had to interact with a lot of projects and things they were doing with us. So I got to know Ken. Bill, I grew up on, not only did I grow up with Bill, but I even worked with his dad many years ago when I was a young kid. This building, I was telling Andy, is on top of growing up my baseball field. We played baseball here and football. And we also had carnivals that would play down here. So at least you make good use of our former baseball and playground that we had here. The other thing, speaking about Tom, and Bill Ciotto is here, Tom was a lobbyist for the Middletown area transit. He got us all the time and call us in. And we already knew that what he was up to, you know, looking for money, looking for this, making sure that the legislature didn't do anything that was detrimental to the Middletown area transit. But one of the things that I know he was very sensitive to the needs of the people. I had received a few phone calls regarding people looking to go to Saybrook Road to our medical facilities out there. Most of you know that. And they had no way of getting there. So I walked into the area transit. In fact, I go through there Monday through Friday. Every noontime I walk through. And plus my office is in the area, so I watched the whole operation. But I went to see him and I told him the story. He looked at, about a day or two later, he called me back. He said there will be a bus that goes out to Saybrook Road for the people who need to get out to those medical facilities. So there was a gentleman who was very sensitive to the needs of the people in the greater Middletown area. And of course, I got to know him personally. Many times as I was going through, I would never make it through because he'd intercept me and bring me into the office and keep us abreast sometimes of things that he knew before we knew in the legislature, and to keep our eye on it. So, but anyways, I'm just happy to be here. It's a beautiful facility, and I know for years, as you alluded to, Andy, you were like orphans looking here and there with the different facilities. Now you've got a beautiful home. So I thank you and wish you the best. Thank you.
Today is the president of the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce, Larry McHugh.
Thank you very much, Andy. Bill, congratulations. As Steve Shapiro took me around here, he was like a proud father, walking around to seeing this beautiful, magnificent facility. And I was talking to Stu Christensen at the Y earlier today, and I just want to congratulate Bill, you as the leader, but your whole board, and Andy for everything that you're doing for not only Middletown, but Middlesex County, and being a real role model to what's good about transportation. I know it's been alluded to, but the support that the city council and mayor and Paul Doyle and Joe Serra are with us today, and of course Billy Ciotto, who really will go down in the annals as one of the finest chairs ever of transportation, to make sure that everything is funded for Middletown the way it should be. Tom was really active with our chamber. He started our transportation committee, and Jerry Dyer, who is with us today from Westbrook, was the co-chair of that, and they worked on that for 5 years. Tom was also a member of our board of directors of the chamber for many, many years. But you know, in talking about Tom, I just want to go over a couple of things for his family. The real difference between people isn't height, weight, nationality, personality, occupation, or income. The real difference between people is energy, a strong will, a settled purpose, and invincible determination. These are the attributes that distinguish Tom from all others. He was a man that had standards of quality, integrity, honesty, and responsibility that were higher than any of the standards each of us can set for ourselves. But the most important thing that he had the intelligence to know what was good. But more important, for our region and for Matt, he had the courage to do it. His 25 years of excellence with Matt, his friendship, his deep love of his family, and the deep love his family showed back to him is something that I will always remember as Tom went through his darkest days of sickness. I want to thank you for that, because I had conversations with Tom in my office during those very, very tough days. And the love and concern that each of you had for him, and Bill, the board here, was so important to him. This was the right thing to do, to name this building for Tom Cheeseman. Congratulations.
Administrator from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Mr. Michael Sanders.
Thanks, Andy. I think we need to get some buses in here so we don't have so much of an echo. It's really an honor to be here for this ribbon cutting. Tom had dedicated his career to transportation, the last 25 years of it, if that's the right number that Larry just cited, dedicated to the people in this Middletown area. But he didn't limit his role to Middletown. He took a role at the state level. He was a former chair of the Connecticut Public Transportation Commission. He took a very active role in advocacy for all of the transit operators in the state. He was somewhat of an elder statesman, even though he wasn't that elder, but he really was a person that you could look up to. So it's really quite an honor to be here and be here for this ceremony that honors Tom's memory. Andy mentioned that it was 20 years from the time they first had the vision, that's really not too bad. When you start looking at packaging federal and state money, especially federal, but you'll hear from Peter in a minute, it can be a very daunting process. But once we get to that point that you've got the money in place, and you let the designers go, like DeCarlo and Dahl, and you let the contractors go, like O&G, and this stuff turns over so fast, and the vision becomes a reality very quickly. But there's a lot of time that it takes for that vision to mature and to get that funding plan in place. So we're glad that you have this facility. We know that you used to work in some places with dirt floors at best. Outdoor plumbing, doors that wouldn't close, you name it. It's hard to maintain a bus and keep it safe and comfortable for the customer when your employees aren't working in a very safe and comfortable place. Now you've got that opportunity. This facility will be facilitate Middletown area transit moving up to that next step of service quality. We look forward to a lot of years of service out of Middletown and out of this facility. And enjoy the clean floors while you can, because no matter how good a job they do maintaining it, they won't stay this clean for very long. Thank you very much.
With us today is the Deputy Regional Administrator of the Federal Transit Administration, Region 1, Mr. Peter Butler.
Andy, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Mary Beth Mello, the Regional Administrator of the New England Office of the Federal Transit Administration, it's my pleasure to be here. Today is a great day. We're here not only to celebrate a reinvestment in transit and honor Tom's memory, but also to celebrate an investment in a community. These are the types of public investments we need in America to keep transit desirable and reliable. And today also marks a day in which, for the first time, the environment for Middletown Transit employees has been transformed from a trailer to a treasure. This facility is such a wonderful tribute to Tom's memory, such a gentleman, and such a true champion of mass transit. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. In just coming back here, it just reminds me of the first time in which walking the grounds with Tom, and he had this great vision for this facility. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't quite have the imagination that he had to really see it. And it is so just wonderful to see it come to life. And the federal government is so proud to have invested over $10 million in this facility. And if I was just to name one characteristic, an attribute of a great project, it would be leadership. And this project exemplifies that perfect leadership alignment at the local, state, and federal level, all supporting a common vision. And I want to thank Andy and his team here at Middletown Transit for their persistence in making this project a reality. And more importantly, they should be congratulated not only for today's accomplishment, but on their daily accomplishment in the delivery of high-quality public transit services. Thank you.
Tom's family. Everyone knew that Tom had a sense of humor and he loved to tell jokes. I'm sorry, but he's told some of the worst jokes I ever heard. I think you might agree with me on that one, yeah. Some were so bad they were actually funny. Most of them he made up, and he was always looking for the opportunity to tell one. However, he was a great practical joker. Case in point. One day, Tom asked me and our maintenance director to come to his office. We went in and he asked us to close the door. Closed door sessions were not good. He cut to the chase. He said to the maintenance director, "You have been accused of sexual harassment by one of our drivers." Two things crossed my mind. First, was this one of Tom's practical jokes? Usually you can tell by a twinkle in his eye or the corners of his mouth were slightly upturned. Not this time. He was serious. My second thought was to reach over and strangle the maintenance director because of all the pending investigations and paperwork that will be involved with this charge. Before I had a chance to react, I looked at Tom one more time, and there it was. The twinkle and a grin. He continued to say to the maintenance director, "I'm just kidding. Congratulations, you're getting a raise, job well done." I went from rage to relief in a matter of 30 seconds. Now my thoughts of strangulation were directed towards Tom. We do miss him. There's a lot of people that I would like to recognize for this project, for the years and the endeavors. First of all, Tabachi and Tuscany Grill for today's food and drink. Thank you very much. To the Federal Transit Administration, our primary funding and assistance in the process. Yes, it was a lot of hard work, but I think it went relatively smoothly. To CONDOT, Connecticut Department of Transportation, we went to them on the 11th hour. We had the FTA funding, but we didn't have the matching funding. Cost increase in the project, we had originally thought, hey, we didn't need it. But due to the increased costs, we met with them and they were more than gracious and helped us out with the project, and we thank them for helping us finish it. To O&G Industries, general contractor, also one of the sponsors of this event. Chris, Ken, Mark, I will miss the construction meetings we have had over the last year and a half. You are professionals in every sense of the word. You built a beautiful building according to plan. You were on budget and almost on schedule. Almost. You missed it by that much. Some of the subcontractors involved were Vista IT Solutions, Manish and his crew, who took care of our computers, and security. Ray Jurgen and company, Rick Thibodeau, Joe Palfini, they helped us set up and equip the maintenance bay. To DeCarlo and Dahl, architects, engineers, also a sponsor of this event, we say thank you. Ron Dahl, Bob, I would like to buy a vowel Griswatz. His name has 8 letters in it, of which one is a vowel, so he desperately needs one. And Manny Machado. Ron helped us obtain the required matching funding with the state. Bob was the lead architect, principal designer, and the first one to present us the image of what the facility would look like through the rendering you see right here. The first time I saw this, I thought to myself, there's no way this would become a reality. I was wrong. If you look closely throughout the building, you can see matte colors in nearly every room, including the bathrooms. I guess we're locked into these colors forever. Manny was our on-site project manager for DeCarlo and Dahl. He served very well as the buffer between the general contractor and Matt during the nearly 40 meetings held during the entire construction period. He always had our best interest in mind. To Tom's many associates in the industry would like to say thank you. The transit industry in the state is a close-knit group who are always assisting each other and looking out for each other's best interest. This became evident when Tom passed, and Matt was overwhelmed with offers of assistance. Dave, Henry, Lou, Nancy, Doug, Vicky, Kim, Donna, Joe, Mike, Lisa, Phil, Greg, Lorraine. There's too many to name. Matt wants to give a little shout out to Mr. Lou Shillman, who is the administrator of Norwalk Transit, who will be retiring in January after 28 years. Lou, good luck. We would like to thank the Matt Board of Directors. They trusted me to make the many hard decisions associated with this project. Special thanks to Stephen Shapiro and Brian Dudek, who attended some of these construction meetings and they're always offering their thoughts and suggestions. To the Matt staff, Kathy, Patty, Carrie, Ray, Duran, Albert, Paul, Steve, Gardner, John, all the rest of the staff and drivers. I may have been a little cranky the past several years. Thanks for bearing with me. Special thanks, Cornell Lewis, who is our finance director and project manager. You were the link that connected Tom's administration to the current administration. You asked all the hard questions and you kept my feet on the ground. Thank you. And quick thanks to my wife, Susan. If I don't mention it, I'll hear about it later. She put the slideshow together and currently recording the event. Forgive me if I left anybody out, but there were so many people involved with this project. Now, I believe on behalf of the Cheeseman family, Dale would like to say a few words.
It's kind of a last minute thing, but honored guests, officials of this great town, Middleton area transit family. My name is Dale Porter Battle, and I'm the sister of Thomas A. Cheeseman. Thomas Alexander Cheeseman. I refer to him as Alexander the Great because he was a great man. Not just because he was my brother, but he was a compassionate man. He was a caring man. And he loved his family. He loved his wife, Linda. He loved his children, Ashley and Michelle, his brothers, his sisters, his mother, his cousins, his nieces. And we all knew that. Whenever there was a graduation or a birthday party or a reunion, he always tried to be there for us, always joking and carrying on with his corny jokes, but he was there and we felt that love